How Ferrari 296 GTB are made inside the modern car factory. The first thing that feels strange inside the Ferrari 296 GTB factory is how quiet it is compared to what people expect from Ferrari. Most imagine deafening engines, chaos, mechanics shouting across workshop floors, the smell of burning rubber hanging in the air like an old racing movie. Instead, the modern production halls feel controlled, almost surgical. Bright lighting reflects off polished floors, while unfinished supercars glide silently between assembly stations on automated carriers. And that silence becomes even more ironic once remembering what the 296 GTB actually is. A hybrid Ferrari capable of explosive performance numbers that would embarrass race cars from not very long ago. Underneath the elegant bodywork sits a twin turbocharged V6 combined with electric power, creating a machine that completely changed how many enthusiasts looked at Ferrari engineering. Because this was not just another supercar, it was Ferrari proving that hybrid technology could still feel emotional, violent, and unmistakably Italian. The entire process starts long before an engine ever touches the chassis. Deep inside the factory, giant aluminum sections arrive from precision fabrication areas where body components are shaped with unbelievable accuracy. Ferrari engineers obsess over weight reduction because every kilogram affects acceleration, handling, braking, and responsiveness at this level of performance. The 296 GTB uses a lightweight aluminum architecture carefully reinforced in specific areas to maintain rigidity without making the car unnecessarily heavy. Workers inspect every structural component constantly because tolerances inside a supercar factory are brutal. Tiny alignment errors that would pass unnoticed in ordinary vehicles become unacceptable here. A panel sitting slightly uneven or a body gap measured incorrectly can destroy aerodynamic efficiency and visual perfection instantly. The body assembly section feels more like aerospace manufacturing than normal automotive production. Large robotic systems position structural components while technicians move around the unfinished chassis, checking alignment with laser measurement tools. Unlike mass production factories where speed dominates everything, Ferrari operates with an entirely different philosophy. Precision comes first. Some body sections are adjusted repeatedly by hand until engineers are satisfied with fitment quality. Watching workers inspect panel reflections under specialized lighting almost feels obsessive until realizing buyers spending this kind of money notice every tiny imperfection immediately. And then comes the powertrain department, which completely changes the atmosphere. The engine itself is one of the most fascinating parts of the 296 GTB story, because Ferrari took a smaller V6 configuration and transformed it into something capable of delivering absurd performance. Inside the assembly area, technicians build these engines carefully by hand while components arrive in perfectly organized sequences around them. Turbochargers, cooling systems, hybrid integration hardware, transmission components, and electrical systems all combine inside an incredibly compact package. Every section feels tightly engineered because modern supercars fight constantly against space limitations created by aerodynamics, cooling demands, and weight distribution targets. One thing that shocks visitors is how much human craftsmanship still exists despite all the advanced automation surrounding the factory. Certain engine assembly stages rely entirely on experienced technicians who spend years mastering specific procedures. Some workers focus only on precision torque calibration, while others specialize in internal component balancing or hybrid integration systems. Ferrari understands buyers are not simply purchasing performance numbers. They are buying emotion, heritage, exclusivity, and mechanical artistry at the same time. That is why the factory still feels deeply human, even with all the advanced manufacturing technology operating around it. The hybrid system installation section reveals just how far modern Ferrari engineering has evolved. Years ago, many enthusiasts feared electrification would dilute the raw emotional character Ferrari became famous for. Instead, the 296 GTB uses electric power almost like an amplifier for performance rather than a replacement for excitement. Engineers install battery systems, electric motors, cooling channels, power electronics, and energy management systems with incredible precision because thermal control becomes critical in high-performance hybrid vehicles. Heat is the enemy everywhere inside this car. The engine creates enormous temperatures. The hybrid system creates more heat. The brakes create additional thermal stress. Managing all of that while maintaining reliability during aggressive driving is unbelievably difficult. And honestly, the aerodynamic development behind the 296 GTB is one of the craziest parts of the entire manufacturing process. Supercars at this level are shaped by airflow almost as much as by styling. Every vent, curve, intake, splitter, and rear section exists because engineers manipulated air pressure intentionally around the body. Inside the factory, unfinished shells pass through inspection areas where technicians analyze surface consistency because even tiny deviations could affect airflow behavior at high speeds. Some sections of the car generate downforce while others direct cooling air toward radiators, brakes, and hybrid systems simultaneously. The body is not just beautiful, it is constantly controlling air movement around the vehicle like a high-speed sculpture. The paint shop almost feels sacred inside a Ferrari facility. Deep reds, metallic silvers, aggressive yellows, dark carbon finishes, and custom customer specifications receive layer after layer of careful treatment under perfectly controlled conditions. Ferrari buyers are famously obsessive about paint quality, and honestly, the factory seems just as obsessive back. Workers inspect reflections repeatedly under different lighting conditions because curves this dramatic reveal imperfections instantly. On a Ferrari, paint is not just protection or color, it becomes part of the identity of the car itself. The interior assembly area tells another story completely. This is where the cold precision of engineering suddenly collides with luxury craftsmanship. Leather upholstery, carbon fiber trim, digital displays, steering controls, aluminum details, and performance seating are installed carefully, while technicians inspect stitching lines and material alignment constantly. Ferrari interiors used to receive criticism years ago for lagging behind competitors in technology and refinement, but modern models like the 296 GTB feel completely different. The cabins now blend aggressive race-inspired design with premium materials and advanced digital systems without losing the feeling of sitting inside something special. One of the most intense areas in the factory is the engine testing section. Before a finished powertrain ever reaches the car, it undergoes extensive dyno testing, where engineers monitor output, temperature behavior, vibration levels, throttle response, and calibration accuracy under simulated driving loads. Hearing one of these engines come alive indoors changes the mood instantly. The quiet, controlled atmosphere disappears for a moment as the V6 screams through test cycles while technicians monitor data streams across multiple screens. Even people who claim hybrid supercars lack emotion usually change their expression after hearing the 296 GTB under load for the first time. And maybe the most fascinating thing about the factory is how much pressure exists behind every stage of production. Ferrari is not competing only on speed anymore. Modern buyers expect outrageous performance, luxury quality, advanced technology, reliability, emotional engagement, and daily usability all at once. The 296 GTB carries that pressure everywhere in its design. It has to feel futuristic without losing Ferrari identity. Fast without feeling artificial. Advanced without becoming cold. That balancing act is visible across the entire factory floor. The final assembly line is where everything starts to feel like the car is finally waking up. The 296 GTB moves slowly between stations, still incomplete in some areas, yet already looking aggressive and purposeful. Panels are aligned one last time, headlights are fitted with careful pressure, electronic systems are connected in sequence, and every module starts communicating with the rest of the vehicle. What feels surprising is how much of a Ferrari is actually software now. Behind the mechanical beauty sits a network of control systems managing hybrid power delivery, traction behavior, energy recovery, cooling strategy, and driving dynamics in real time. Engineers plug in diagnostic systems while the car sits silently, and suddenly it is not just a machine being built anymore. It feels more like a system being trained. One of the most important stages happens in the calibration tunnels. The car is placed in controlled environments where sensors are tested against precise conditions. Steering response is measured, suspension behavior is analyzed, braking balance is checked, and electronic systems are tuned to respond exactly as Ferrari intended. Even the smallest mismatch in feedback can change how the car feels at high speed, so nothing is left to assumption. The hybrid system is especially sensitive here because electric torque and combustion power must blend seamlessly. If the transition feels even slightly uneven, the emotional experience of the car breaks. That is why engineers spend so much time refining behavior that most drivers will never consciously notice, but always feel. Then comes a moment that feels almost ceremonial inside the factory. The first ignition after full assembly. The engine does not roar immediately like people expect from Ferrari videos online. Instead, there is a brief silence, a system check, and then the V6 comes alive with a controlled surge of sound that builds character rather than chaos. It is sharp, mechanical, and layered with electric assistance waiting underneath. The hybrid system does not replace emotion here. It enhances response, filling gaps in torque delivery and making acceleration feel instantaneous in a way older Ferrari engines could not achieve alone. Watching technicians hear it for the first time is always interesting because they are not reacting like fans. They are listening for perfection. The road simulation testing phase pushes everything further. Completed 296 GTB units are driven on controlled tracks that replicate real-world conditions inside the factory environment. High-speed runs, sharp cornering, braking stress tests, uneven surface simulation, and thermal load cycles all happen before the car ever reaches a customer. The goal is not just performance, it is consistency. A Ferrari must behave like a Ferrari whether it is being driven gently in traffic or pushed aggressively on a mountain road. That personality consistency is one of the hardest things to engineer, and it is why testing takes so long even for a brand known for speed. What stands out during this phase is how much attention is placed on driving feel rather than raw numbers. Modern supercars can all produce extreme acceleration figures, but Ferrari focuses heavily on steering feedback, throttle sensitivity, brake response, and how the car communicates with the driver. Engineers adjust software mappings repeatedly until the car feels alive rather than artificial. Even small changes in response curves can completely alter the character of the vehicle. That is why development does not end when the hardware is finished. The software defines the final personality. And then there is the quality inspection hall, where the emotional tone of the factory shifts again. Bright controlled lighting reveals every surface of the car in extreme detail. Paint reflections are checked across curved panels. Carbon fiber alignment is inspected under angled light. Interior stitching is examined line by line, and panel gaps are measured with precision tools. Nothing is rushed here because a Ferrari is not just a performance machine. It is a representation of brand identity. Even a tiny imperfection could feel unacceptable to someone expecting perfection at this level. That pressure is constant throughout the final stages. One of the most fascinating realities inside Ferrari production is how individuality still exists even in a structured factory environment. Customers often customize their 296 GTB specifications, meaning no two cars are exactly identical. Different paint finishes, interior materials, stitching combinations, wheel designs, brake colors, and personalization details mean each unit carries its own identity. That creates a strange contrast on the production line. Technically, these are mass-produced vehicles, but emotionally, each one is treated like a unique creation. And after all of that, the moment arrives when the completed Ferrari finally leaves the factory. It rolls out quietly at first, almost restrained, still holding back its full character. But everyone inside knows what it becomes once it reaches open roads. The 296 GTB is not just the result of engineering. It is the result of decades of evolution, shifting from pure combustion heritage into a hybrid future without losing its identity. That balance is what defines modern Ferrari more than anything else. Seeing it exit the factory feels less like the end of a production process and more like the beginning of its real life. Because everything inside the building is just preparation for what happens once the driver finally presses the accelerator and understands what Ferrari engineers have been refining in silence the entire time. And even after the car leaves the factory gates, the story of the Ferrari 296 GTB is still technically not finished. Because in a way, Ferrari never really treats a car as something that is done the moment it is built. Every single unit carries a kind of invisible identity created from its production data, its calibration history, its component matching, and even the tiny tolerances that were recorded during assembly. It sounds almost excessive, but that level of detail is exactly what allows Ferrari to maintain consistency across cars that are still individually unique. And the interesting part is that all of this engineering effort only truly gets tested once the car is exposed to real roads, real drivers, and real conditions that no simulation inside the factory can fully replicate. Once the 296 GTB reaches its natural environment, everything the factory worked on either proves itself or gets challenged immediately. The hybrid system that felt perfectly balanced inside controlled testing suddenly has to adapt to traffic, temperature changes, driving styles, and road surfaces that constantly shift. The suspension that was tuned for precision in calibration halls now has to absorb unpredictable imperfections while still maintaining stability at high speed. The steering that felt sharp and responsive in testing environments now has to communicate confidence through corners, highways, and tight urban roads. And the engine, which was carefully tuned for emotional delivery, finally gets expressed fully in a way that engineers can only design for, but never fully experience themselves during production. What makes this even more fascinating is how Ferrari continues to monitor and refine its vehicles even after delivery. Modern supercars like the 296 GTB are no longer completely disconnected from the factory once they leave. In many cases, performance data, usage patterns, and system behavior can be analyzed over time to understand how the car behaves in the real world. That feedback loop quietly influences future improvements, future calibration changes, and even future models. So in a strange way, every Ferrari on the road becomes part of the next Ferrari being developed. The factory does not just build cars, it continuously learns from them. And this is where the emotional side of Ferrari becomes just as important as the technical side. Because no matter how advanced the production process becomes, what people ultimately connect with is not data or engineering diagrams. It is the feeling the car creates when it responds instantly, when it sounds alive under acceleration, when it shifts weight through corners with precision that feels almost organic. That feeling is extremely difficult to manufacture. It is not something you can simply automate or calculate. It is the result of thousands of small engineering decisions made with a very specific intention, shaped by decades of racing history and performance obsession. Inside the factory, engineers understand that balance very clearly. They know they are not just building a fast car. They are building something that has to carry the Ferrari name, which brings a level of expectation that goes far beyond speed alone. It has to feel special even when standing still. It has to feel precise even at low speeds. It has to feel aggressive when pushed and composed when relaxed. That duality is what separates it from ordinary performance vehicles. And achieving that balance in a hybrid platform makes it even more complex, because two completely different power sources must behave like one unified personality without confusing the driver. The production process reflects that philosophy in every section. From the way the chassis is assembled to the way the engine is tested, from the way the paint is inspected under controlled lighting to the way the interior is stitched and aligned, everything is done with the assumption that someone will one day notice even the smallest detail. And at this level of manufacturing, that assumption is always correct. Ferrari customers do notice, enthusiasts do analyze, critics do compare, and the brand identity depends entirely on surviving that level of scrutiny. By the time the Ferrari 296 GTB leaves the factory completely, it is not just a finished product in the traditional sense. It is more like a carefully prepared machine waiting for its real definition. Because no matter how advanced the factory is, the final personality of the car is shaped outside its walls. It is shaped by the roads it travels, the way it is driven, the conditions it experiences, and the expectations placed on it by the people who choose to own it. The factory builds the foundation, but the world completes the story. And that is what makes watching Ferrari production so different from ordinary manufacturing. It is not just about seeing a car being assembled. It is about understanding how much invisible effort exists behind something that is designed to feel effortless. Because when the 296 GTB finally accelerates on an open road and everything feels smooth, immediate, and emotional, what you are actually feeling is years of engineering decisions, factory precision, testing discipline, and design philosophy all working together in one moment without asking for attention. So while the factory continues building the next chassis, the next engine, the next hybrid system, and the next carefully balanced machine, every Ferrari that has already left is already doing its real job. Not just existing as a supercar, but proving, every single day, whether all of that engineering inside the factory was truly successful or not.